Well, if yesterday's Game 1 is any indication, the Western Conference semifinal showdown between the Suns and Spurs may be the hardest fought series of this year's playoffs. Just ask Nash and Parker. Here to break down the Western Conference semis, Suns guard and first take NBA analyst Jalen Rose. Jalen, that collision with Tony Parker and Steve Nash, excessive bleeding there, and we heard Skip talking about this in 1st and 10. Nash was forced to sit out 45 seconds. Skip said that was the difference in the game. What did your team think?
Well, being a part of the Phoenix Suns, I would hope that Steve Nash's injury probably cost us the game, but I have to give the San Antonio Spurs a ton of credit. I felt like they were in driver's seat and they found a way to get it done. But hey, we got the blood we were looking for this weekend. It just happened in the wrong event. Instead of it happening Saturday night in Las Vegas with De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather, we got it Sunday with Tony Parker and Steve Nash. Wrong event, a lot of blood, but we got to find a way to get it done on Tuesday, and I think we will.
And when you look ahead for Steve Nash, I mean, this is a situation where, and I don't know the specifics, you could be looking at a mask type of situation for him to protect his nose. How might that affect him as your point guard out there?
Well, I'd be surprised if I saw Steve with a mask. Being from Canada and all, I think he has a hockey mentality. I heard he got 6 stitches, and we plan on Steve being ready to go tomorrow night.
Tim Duncan and Tony Parker together were stellar in this one, 55 points. Which of these two do you think is going to cause you more trouble?
Probably Tony Parker, because he's the guy with the ball. He's the guy that's going to push the tempo when we miss shots, get the long outlet passes, and find ways to break down our defense and create easy shots for other guys on the perimeter, as well as Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is stellar. He's the guy beyond Shaquille O'Neal that's going to get you 30 points and 15 rebounds in a playoff game because he's done it. He's a champion, he's an MVP, but I think Tony Parker's the key. We found a way to keep Manu Ginobili quiet. Then all of a sudden, Michael Finley steps up with 19 points. Big shot Robert Horry, who, like they said about the Dikembe Mutombo, I heard Stephen A. say he was 50 years old. I think Robert Horry is probably 40 years old. And here am I talking being 34. But anyway, he had 10 points. And, you know, the Spurs are a team that has a championship pedigree, and they find ways to get it done. And we knew this was going to be a long series coming into it, and we're ready for that.
I'm not certain if you heard this after the game. Steve Nash said that the Suns throughout the season, that your team has needed to display more heart. Those are his words. Why do you think he would make that comment?
Well, he's our leader. He's a 2-time MVP, and I'm hearing that Dirk Nowitzki probably is going to win it this season, but I voted for Steve this year, even though I didn't get a vote. But at the end of the day, when you lose Game 1, you got to say something to rile the guys up. And Steve Nash, being that guy, I think he wanted to get the guys ready to know that Tuesday night was win at all costs.
The other semifinal matchup will not feature the Houston Rockets. They lose. Tracy McGrady again can't get out of the first round. There's talk about Jeff Van Gundy possibly being done there. Who do you think takes the blame in Houston for what went wrong?
I might have to call the psychiatrist that Stephen A. Smith was talking about when we talk about this story. But at the end of the day, the Houston Rockets, I think, just lost to a better team. You got to give the Utah Jazz a lot of credit. Carlos Boozer plays like a man amongst boys in the paint. He finds ways to get you 25 and 10 rebounds. Deron Williams played great at the point guard position. They found ways to get shooting from Mehmet Okur and defense from Andre Karolinko. I think when you talk about the Houston Rockets, obviously you talk about the two-headed monster with Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming finding ways to lead that team. And in order for those guys to lead the team, they have to play like superstars, which allows the role players to play like role players. That didn't happen, especially in Game 7, and that's sad if you're a Houston Rockets fan.
And that means it is the Jazz and the Warriors. The Warriors, the underdog everybody loves. Quickly, what chance do you give them in this series?
I give the Warriors a big-time chance. I mean, I can't count against them. I mean, they found a way to beat the #1 seed, so who am I to say they can't find a way to beat Utah? But I do feel like on paper, Utah probably be a better match for Golden State in this style of play than the Houston Rockets would have been because, like I said, they have Carlos Boozer, and he's the kind of guy that's going to take those layups a lot of times that the Golden State Warrior defense will find a way to give you to create the tempo.
All right, Jalen Rose, we appreciate the update there. I know you still have a couple days before your next game. Good luck in that. Tonight's game, by the way, in the NBA, 2 of them. Game 2 between the Bulls and the Pistons. Detroit obviously leads that series now, 1-0. That tip-off is just after 8 Eastern. Then at 10:30 Eastern, you can look out west. Warriors and the Jazz will face off in their first contest. Still to come here on First Take, Roger Clemens announced his return over the PA